It's the only job I've ever had.
For more than a century, R.T. Lagarde's family tilled the land of Glenmore Farm in Loudoun County, Virginia, employing sweat, smarts, and steel to transform rolling rivers of green into nourishment.
Here we have corn shellers.
Lagarde decided at nearly 80, after decades of toil, it was time to sell the farm and everything else in his barns.
It's time to slow down a little. This is a horse-drawn stump puller.
But we're not talking a couple of old broken-down tractors and a few boxes of rusty tools.
This is a tobacco press.
Right before this picture was taken in the early 1980s, Lagarde started buying and restoring antique farm equipment.
Ox yoke, at least 150 years old. It's a dog treadmill. You could also use a sheep or a goat. You just start collecting, and it's hard to stop.
He stockpiled a stable so large, all of it is up for auction September 2nd and 3rd.
Sometimes it's hard to tell what's a tractor and what's tractor parts.
Some items not only a slice of Americana, but also museum quality.
A 1926 Avery.
This 1950 Shepherd diesel, only one of 3 ever built.
Is the style G run?
Yeah.
Friends and family are helping Lagarde display in jaw-dropping row after row nearly 200 tractors and 300 additional pieces of antique farm equipment.
Obviously, we'd like to see this stuff preserved and have the next generation take care of it.
R.T. Lagarde hopes to retire comfortably following the auction, admitting, though, that he still wants to keep working because he's kind of like one of his aging tractors. A bit old and tough to start, but reliable. I'm Jay Korf for 7 News.
Relatively few places that are as rural and beautiful so close to the city now.
It's only a 6.5-mile drive north up Route 15 from Leesburg to the quaint village of Lucketts. But this stretch of road, lined with produce stands, antique shops, and burgeoning subdivisions, stands at the center of a bitter battle, pitting conservationists, residents, and business owners over how each prioritizes progress.
This isn't about fair, right? This is about trying to get something done.
For years, how to best widen Route 15 in northern Loudoun County has been a hot topic. The road now carrying 20,000 to 30,000 vehicles a day due to a population boom. Resident David Goodrum.
We have a capacity problem.
Wants more lanes to decrease congestion and improve safety.
Depending on who you ask, some people will say this is the most dangerous road in Loudoun County.
In fact, from 2015 to September of 2022, much busier Route 7 from the Fairfax County line to Leesburg had 730 crashes leading to 6 fatalities. Route 15, same time frame, from Leesburg to the Maryland state line where our story is unfolding, 205 crashes, also leading to 6 fatalities.
This is one of my #1 priorities coming in as an office holder.
Supervisor Caleb Kirshner represents this area and fully supports widening Route 15.
We would like to get to places faster. We would like to get to places safer.
The first major section to widen, 3.5 miles from Battlefield Parkway to Montresor Road, has already been designed and approved. Construction expected to begin by 2024. This phase is not the issue. The uproar is over how to widen the next 3 miles from Montresor Road north to Lucketts that could also include a western bypass around the village. Business owners most impacted by this second phase, which still needs to be fully designed, financed, and approved, fear that it will push them back or even uproot their farm stands, shops, and homes. An intriguing side note to this already contentious story, some of the business owners who will be impacted the most by the widening of Route 15 don't want to give us their position publicly because they say their customer base is so deeply divided on whether they support this project or not.
I knew there was a certain contention, and I think that comes with any time there's significant change in an area, especially the area that's been largely agrarian for centuries.
We call it Lost Corner Farm. This is where the magic happens.
Loudoun County farmer Avis Renshaw and her family,
Oh, I found a nice little patch here.
who run Mom's Apple Pie in Leesburg, have tilled this soil for a generation.
We grow the varieties we grow specifically for their flavor. This is one of the kabochas that we grow for our pumpkin pies. You got corn for me, Nick?
Renshaw suspects transforming Route 15 from a rural road to a divided highway will forever change this part of the county and could lead to the demise of her way of life.
If it becomes too hard to farm, farmers are going to start selling to developers.
The final piece of this complex puzzle involves a fragile ecosystem.
A 4-lane bypass would be devastating to the amphibian populations here.
Michael Myers manages 87 acres of land near Luckett's called the J.K. Black Oak Wildlife Sanctuary. It's a wetland considered globally rare due to vernal pools essential to the life cycle of the Jefferson salamander and the fairy shrimp.
This habitat is at a high risk of local extinction, and it's at a high risk from homes, from road projects, and from other threats.
Myers admits these unique creatures probably can't stop a road project, but they could modify one. Since the second phase of widening is years, maybe even a decade away, he and many others remain on high alert.
Astutely paying attention to the process, because there are going to be many steps, whether it's permitting steps, road design steps, and there's going to be lots of opportunity for more public comment.
Policymakers tell us it is possible to preserve this part of Loudoun County's charm by understanding how the first phase of widening Route 15 will impact the region before finalizing plans for the second, more controversial phase. Jay Korf, 7 News.
You know, Lake Accotink is one of Fairfax County's most valuable assets.
For nearly a century, people with fishing poles and bikes, kayaks, canoes, and cameras, like photographer Keith Freeburn, have captured the soaring beauty.
Some of my best experiences have been here at Lake Accotink.
And savored the serenity of Lake Accotink in Springfield, Virginia.
It's part of my day. I come here every morning, 6 a.m., ride my bike.
Cesar Contreras lives nearby, and he can't imagine a day without the healing properties of this hidden oasis.
Not too many people might know about this place, but the people that live around here definitely depend on this place.
But this place of reflection and recreation, where gravel paths lead to stellar trails, faces a crisis lurking just below its surface. So here's your culprit, folks. Hundreds of thousands of cubic yards of sediment, rocks, sand, sticks, and sludge flow into the lake without intervention via a massive years-long dredging project. The sediment will eventually consume and kill the lake.
So in 2018, the community was asked, do you want to save Lake Accotink and preserve it as a lake? And the answer was a very resounding yes.
So you may be wondering, why is so much silt and sediment going into Lake Accotink? Well, there are two primary culprits, and I'm going to take you to both. The first being this neighborhood off to my right. This large subdivision, built back when stormwater management wasn't really prioritized, sits right above the lake. County leaders say when it rains, runoff pours unabated right into Lake Accotink. The other offender, the lake's main tributary, Accotink Creek. Decades of erosion has forced so much debris into the lake, its average depth is now only 4 feet. Despite millions of dollars invested in stream restoration projects, the sediment just keeps coming, thanks in part to more extreme storms. The good news, after years of debate, 2 proposals have percolated to the top, but each plan has critics.
I've been coming here for 20 plus years and I just absolutely love this park.
Community leader Julie Childers and Springfield Civic Association President Gail Nittle recently sat down with me to discuss their hopes and their fears.
It's just not safe. That's the bottom line. It's just not safe.
In the first proposal, crews would load dredged up sediment onto trucks in a nearby industrial park, then drive right through Gail Nittle's neighborhood an estimated 190 times a day, 5 days a week, for 3 years.
This is not country, this is neighborhoods. These are 2,500 households that live in Crestwood and Lynbrook. I just don't know how the neighborhood can maintain a quality of life, a safe quality of life, with this being introduced. It, to me, is unconscionable.
The other plan involves running a pipeline from Lake Accotink north to Wakefield Park, where sediment would be trucked right onto Braddock Road, then I-495. But in that case, several acres of trees would have to go, leading to environmental concerns. Supervisor James Walkinshaw represents part of this area.
If we want to save this lake, which I think the community does, there are going to be some impacts, and we have to go into that with our eyes wide open.
Walkinshaw says he's still looking for good options. A final decision is expected in just weeks, with dredging slated to start in the summer of 2023. Until then, Caesar and his daughter Michelle will return to enjoy Lake Accatink's offerings.
And this place is like home to me.
And Keith Freeburn will keep snapping shots of creatures who call this place home.
To be able to see this variety, there's only a few spots where we can do this, you know.
I'm Jay Korf for 7 News.